Nice here. What'd you do, lose a bet?
Welcome.
Oh, recording. Hi. Welcome, Podcast World.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Lindy.
And welcome to Turn of the Millennials.
So you know from that little tidbit, that line I just said, you might know what movie we're going to be talking about today.
It is part 2 of our Mighty Ducks, because there are 3 installments of the movies, so we figured each movie deserves their own episode.
So we are talking about the second one, D2 Mighty Ducks.
So this one, basically, we're just going to get right into it. So basically this one starts where it kind of left off in the first one. So Gordon is basically in the cutscenes of the intro, casting.
Opening credits.
They have Gordon playing in the minors for the Minnesota minor team or whatever. And he eventually, unfortunately, gets injured. Thus starts the beginning of the movie because he has to come home.
Pretty sure it was an illegal shot to the knee, but whatever.
Of course it was. 100%. But obviously, thus starts the beginning of the movie because he can no longer play in the minors, so he has to come back home. And
it's pouring.
Right. He's very
cold.
upset. So
Hans picks him up.
It's
surprisingly, or
Jan.
not Hans,
it's
Jan.
actually Hans,
My bad.
not Hans, Jan, who is, I believe, his brother or his cousin or something. But he's taking over the store for Hans for whatever reason. Hans isn't at the store at the moment.
He went back to Germany.
Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because he ends up coming back to the
He ran home to Mama.
Oh, he ran home to Mama.
I'm pretty sure it was the line, yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I'll have to listen to that.
Oh,
next
you're
time
the
I
one
watch
that watched it.
I
didn't.
I was too busy worrying about the Charlie Conway line, okay? That was my big moment of watching this one. So, basically, Han tells him about Team USA, the Junior Goodwill games, needing a new coach. So, he gets him in contact, and he rounds up the Ducks, adds a few more to the team, and heads off to the Goodwill games. Mm-hmm. Really quick synopsis there. You want to take over for the synopsis as well? Take over where we left off? Come on.
No, I was just going to talk about the scenes where, the Ducks are being round up.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, it's a pretty fun scene, I think. And he gets Charlie by, standing outside his window blowing the duck call thing. Like the...
Kevin has many of those, so I know the duck call. So, yeah, he ends up going... He finally gets... He ends up actually getting with the first round of group first. So, the Averman, Goldberg, and him, which are actually, the 3 original District 5s.
Averman leaves work and fired.
Right. They had to run through the mall for that one, of the Mall of America, because he worked at the cinema in the Mall of America. So, again, a second
Did they rollerblade through the mall again?
A second scene of them rollerblading through the mall. Because this time, I believe Goldberg goes down an escalator and gets all trippied and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably.
Because in the first one, it was Fulton that was having trouble in it. And then this one, it was actually Goldberg that did a trippy or something in the...
A few times?
Something like that.
Yeah.
In that scene. So...
And they steal a guy's hat, isn't it? Or
something
is that... Yeah.
And then they get Banksy, and then
they
end up coming in... they're going through a park, just rollerblading, finding their next set of friends, and the evil hawks from the movie before are like, oh, we want to get revenge on them for beating us.
Look, it's the Ducks. Ugh. How dare they beat us fairly, even though we tried to cheat and still lost.
So we have to get revenge on them.
Cheaters never prosper.
So they try to trip them or something, and of course...
fishing line? How hard? Right? That would fucking hurt.
Even falling in general on rollerblades
they're all wearing pads and shit, right? Because, family movie, you want to,
but if they
support
turn
the whole, safety sports, whatever.
Because they're also, learning to skate, so some of them are going to go backwards on their things, and if they don't see that,
And some of them are really good at rollerblading, so they're going to be going, pretty quickly, and, the height at which they put the fishing line, pretty sure doesn't cover their
And I'm sorry,
things.
they're probably going to fall flat on their face.
Yeah.
Not as opposed to their knees and
they
their
may
elbows.
as well have fucking tried to, clothesline them.
Well, they're clotheslining them just at the legs.
Yeah.
Just not at the face. But,
anyways.
So then Fulton obviously comes and he's like,
Hey guys. Oh no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. They're the Hawks say something like, "Oh, they're gonna hurt so bad," or something like this. This is gonna be good.
Oh.
And then Fulton is like, "They'll never know what hit them."
Yes,
I know. And they're like, "Who said that?"
And then he's
turn around and,
"Hey guys."
In
this really weird low voice too that he
super
doesn't
low.
have.
That is obviously not his voice. It's
right.
Come on.
Or if it is, they had to film it separately and keep you
lower,
lower,
dumped it in,
low.
maybe.
Yeah, dumped it in, overdone it. It's so funny.
So he strips them naked, throws them around the canoes, and then ties them to a tree with their fishing line.
Yeah, that's just great.
Justice served.
Right? So then they go on their merry way. They meet up with Gordon. And then Gordon tells them that they're going to be part of a junior Goodwill Games, Team USA.
Which is, like, nationally televised, and ESPN is involved.
It's almost like the Olympics for little kids, essentially.
Yeah.
So
juniors.
For juniors and little kids. Like, I assume it's under 18 or something. Although with some of those Island people, you never know because they look a lot older. But I'm assuming it's probably under 18 because it's usually
that's my guess, or like 18 and younger. Maybe
juniors are usually always some kind of threshold like that.
Yeah.
So they find out they're told they're going to the Goodwill Games, but obviously they need to have some more round-outed players. So
or just more players.
Who's the dude from Hendrix? Mr.
Bigglesworth.
Is it?
Oh,
no, not
Mr.
Bigglesworth.
Oh, Mr. Biggles.
Is it Mr. Biggles?
I'm pretty sure that's what
Tibbles.
Mr. Tibbles. Yep, Mr.
I was like,
Tibbles.
Bigglesworth is from Austin Powers. I'm like, it's not Bigglesworth.
Is it?
I know that one.
Okay, yeah, anyway.
So Mr. Tibbles is the guy who's for Hendrix, who's recruiting Bombay and everything, and he's kind of in charge of all of the Team USA. So he brings in a couple of other kids from around the country. So there's like Portman, who's kind of another enforcer. You've got...
Where's he from? Did he say? Seattle?
Chicago.
Portland?
I think it's from
no,
Chicago.
Portland's his last name.
Because in the third, to get ahead of ourselves, in the third one he says, I have some business up in Chicago. Remember?
Yeah,
and then he's bringing back Portman.
Yeah.
So I believe he's actually from Chicago.
And there's Dwayne. He's from
Texas, who's the kind of like, crazy rednecky sort of guy.
Cowboy.
That's what he is.
all around cowboy.
Gentleman. Yep. And then they bring in Julie the Cat, who is not a replacement, but another goalie. And obviously
Maine.
Goldberg does not like this. And then they bring in Kenny Wu, who was an Olympic figure skater. Can't play hockey, but, he gets his way through.
I feel like in that character, they're like trying to trickle in from the first movie with Tammy.
The brother in that, they're kind of... Well, like they said from the first one, there was a lot of characters that they took out because they weren't exciting enough.
Yeah.
So they probably were like, well, we still need a figure skater, so let's do this guy. So he ends up coming in, and then... Yeah, basically they all have a little bit of time.
The guy that can't stop.
Oh, Luis Mendoza.
Luis
Mendoza who can't stop.
Yep.
And I think that's all of the new ones.
It's just 5, right?
I think it's the 4 or the 5 new ones.
Kat, Dean, Luis, Dwayne.
I think that's it.
I was sure there was 5. The Kenny, the figure skater.
Oh, yes, Kenny.
So yeah, that's
5. So 5 of them.
Round up the team.
There's another funny note from one of our previous episodes about them being in the dorms or whatever. And I was talking about how, for some reason in the first episode, I was talking about how they're in the dorms in the third one.
Yeah.
Because they're from out of town. Stupid me. Didn't think about it until I was watching it the third time around. The only ones who were staying in the dorm rooms were the kids who were from out of town. Russ Tyler from California, Texas, Bangor, Maine, all of them. Because all the rest of them are local to Eden Hall in Minnesota. And of course I didn't think about that until I was watching it this time around. And I even listened, even in our first one, we mentioned this. I was listening to it when I was editing, actually, and I was like, oh, so I have to re-mention that one. So, in the third one, we'll talk about that.
Well, all right then.
So, the kids they all have to because they're all from different places, they have to kind of work. Gordon's got to get them to sort of work together as a team. Yeah. Because they're still sort of the new kids. By line
dancing on the ice.
Yeah, and then playing fun and games with beach balls or things like that, and just different kinds of... Oh, and he does the roundup. Yeah, with his rope.
Dwayne gets his lasso and rounds them up.
Does the roundup with the rope, and they have some fun.
That's how they warm up.
That. So, and then once they're ready to go, they basically go to the Goodwill Games. They play a few teams. Obviously, the Ducks always win. And then
until they
come to Iceland
or Eastland.
They're the big rival team, as there is in every.
Which I stated in the first one, where they play their first game against and their final game against, just to show the comparison.
How far they've come.
How far they've come.
So they get their asses whooped to them the first time, so then they always beat them the second time to show them how far they come.
Asses handed. Iceland's a way bigger
team. What, 12-1 or something? It's a ridiculous score.
You can tell, right away, how that first game is going to come out, or the outcome of that game is going to be, based on the fact that the dentist Wolf, whatever his name
Wolf
is.
Wolf
the dentist, takes his team and interrupts their live
broadcast
of their conference or whatever that's called.
The press conference.
The Q&A with the media.
And
he completely fucking calls them out, and it's like, you guys are gonna get your asses handed to you. You don't know what you're in for.
Well, but at the same time, he does have a point. The Americans always have this cocky attitude, thinking that they're always better, always gonna win.
For sure.
So he's not wrong where he's coming from. No. And even Gordon Bombay says it there. He's like, oh, well, we'll see. And it's like, okay, we played you and we clearly still handed your asses to you and you guys still, like...
Oh, puff out the big chest.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Joe.
he's not wrong sometimes in his thinking, the dentist, but at the same time, you don't need to be...
His
cheater
point...
or too ego. His
point made sense. His delivery was unnecessary.
Yes. Yes, he didn't need to do it in the middle of their press conference and just to flex show his penis muscles,
Penis muscles.
That's what guys do, gotta show my penis is bigger than yours,
Yeah, I get that.
And then, so what happens in between that? So they end up meeting, like, Wayne Gretzky, and then Bombay ends up going out on a ice cream date with the Island trainer.
Yeah.
A couple of the team members find it. They're not too happy. Gordon very much kind of comes into the whole, ness of, like, the world, he starts slicking his hair back and giving into the lifestyle that is a coach instead of focusing on his team and stuff. He gives into the Hendricks lifestyle and capitalism almost.
He's allowing the materialistic lifestyle to take over.
Yes.
Take it over, right?
And
because they set him up in a huge ass freaking mansion right on the beach.
Not even with staying with the kids. And he even says, like, I feel bad for not staying with the guys in the dorms.
And then they walk into the house and he's like, oh, kids will be fine.
Kids will be fine. And then he has a big party where he meets, like, Christy Yamaguchi and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, there's all these different people there. And so he's like, oh.
Christy Yamaguchi.
One of the guys that he's talking to is actually Stephen Brill, the guy who wrote this. The one guy he's talking to in that party.
Oh, really?
He's kind of
the one with the mullet?
Sort of, kind of. Yeah, it's that sort of one. So he's actually the writer, Stephen Brill.
Okay.
And he's actually the executive producer in the new Game Changers. Mm-hmm. So I'm still having hope for this new Game Changers because the fact that he's still on it. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so he ends up
with this huge egotistical, I'm big man ego. Yeah.
So that's why the guys kind of call him out with him because being with the Island trainer.
Okay, so he starts to run the kids absolutely ragged that they cannot stay awake in class.
Because they lost after Island, so he had to push them even more.
Yeah, so he had them staying like all hours of the night and then back up and on the rink by 6 a.m.
After playing,
before and after school. Like it was, he became a tyrant. What did they call him?
Captain Blood.
Captain Blood.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he shows up for practice one morning at 6 and nobody is there.
The teacher
except for the teacher.
And she's like, I'm not letting them have class. I sent them home.
Yeah.
They need a break.
Yeah. They absolutely need a break because you are killing them.
Yeah.
And
they're little kids. That's what she said. She's like, they're teenagers. They're children. Like, you can't treat them this way.
And now mind you, haven't watched it in a little bit, so I can't remember the exact moment where he has like a change of heart.
Oh, no,
you're right.
It's after that, and that's where he's like, hi, everybody. This is a distraction.
No, I know. But, like, is it the scene where, like, he's rollerblading on the beach at sunset, kind of, like, deep in his own self-loathing thought?
I think that's
like, if you could have, like, a thought bubble above him, it would be like, man, she was totally right. It was really hard on those
Maybe
kids.
I am running them ragged.
Dude, I can't let the material things, like, run my life.
Oh, and I think there was also something else said to him as well, too. Something else as well that he kind of goes into that wallowing moment as well.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Blood, but so then
the next day
he brings the team together, and this is the funniest part.
This is a firing barrel.
So they have a picture of him in the Hendrix and all slicked back and everything.
Cardboard cutout, life-size cardboard cutout,
and he's like, "This is a distraction," and then he has a garbage thing.
This is a firing barrel.
This is a barrel. Takes a match. This is a firing barrel. And then he takes his cardboard cutout, puts it in, and he's like, this is a distraction and fire a barrel. Any questions?
And they all applaud.
And it's the funniest thing, because he's just like finally realized the error of his ways that he needs to get back to loving the game.
Kind of like in the first one, how he was trying to coach like Riley was and realized I'm not that type of coach.
Yep.
So now he just had to learn a different but somewhat similar lesson.
Because he's still in that high pressure of, because
when they were he needs to perform because it's his ass if they don't.
Well, not only that, like in District 5, you're Pee-wee. It's not like it's
not the end of the world if you lose.
Yes, but when you're going to the Goodwill Games, like I said, this is the Olympics essentially. Yeah. So
this
he's got to be
very big deal,
high performance coach, but still needs to remember the love of the game.
And when a sporting company is paying out all this money to sponsor you and equip you and the kids and all of that, like, they expect results. So
the house was a thank you. That's what he says. He's like, this is a thank you for all that you've done for us.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, exactly. You're buying him off. Buying him off.
Sure. Think you're better than me?
Right? So eventually he ends up coming back, and then I think there is actually, so once CBS decides he's like, good again. They decide to go out on and have a practice, and it's their first
fun, and that's when they throw around the beach ball,
and then the beach ball goes. No, the lasso is in. I think it's in another one. But they do the beach ball, and then he comes to the Island.
Because Eastland comes onto the rink and
they're like, this is our time. And they're like,
over.
no, we booked the ice. And he's like, so then it ends up being Gordon and the dentist have their face off.
Yeah, one-on-one.
One-on-one.
And then, of course, the dentist being the bad guy.
Hold on. Gordon, yes, he was winning, but he was also showboating about it.
Doesn't,
he
justify what the wolf did.
Absolutely not. Doesn't justify to do it, but
he
at the
shouldn't
same
have
time...
showboated. But you know what? I'm sorry, but being in the same position, you have this guy that gets under your fucking skin. He, he's condescending and he's just egomaniacal in, the worst fucking way where he, what was it that even, knocked... What was it? Why did they call him a dentist again? Because he knocked out more teeth than he scored goals or something like that? Yeah. Or more time than he played, or some shit like that. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna fucking gloat too. Sorry, but I'm gonna, check your fucking ego as well. But that resulted in the wolf getting all fucking mad and then hitting him in his knee, bad injured knee.
He also knew that because also here's the other thing. Island, very intelligent when it comes to coaching because he studies his opponents. He knows all about his opponents.
Yep.
So yes, he looked into Gordon's past and knew that Gordon had it.
You must understand your prey.
Exactly.
Why did that make that sound? Was it because I was caressing my laptop?
No, I was going to go into sleep mode or something like that.
Well, your laptop, I should say.
So,
anyway.
So they end up playing, and then the dentist ends up... Well, he was losing, and then he knocks Gordon to the ground, and then the game's basically over.
And
even though he scores, Gordon was still in the lead, but
I think he tied it up or something like that.
And also because he knocked him, he's like, well, this is over. You can't play anymore because I knocked you out.
But Gordon was the bigger man, I think, in this situation.
And in general, he was kind of like, well, we'll see you on the ice.
And then, we'll settle this on the ice, yeah.
So then I think they have...
When
after that is...
When...
Russ!
No, not that one.
Okay.
When... Oh my god, I was just going to ask you this just a few minutes ago, and now I've lost my train of thought. I don't remember what it was, but I will probably remember eventually, and then I'll just cut you off.
And then at one point, so when they're mad at Gordon, they're actually practicing, they're doing their own stretches and stuff because they have a game or whatever. And this little guy who's been mouthing off to them at other games.
They're in the Goodwill land.
Arena.
Arena.
Like arena.
Yeah.
But
and this kid walks off the street.
Well, this kid was mouthing off to them in the arena in a couple other games. So they'd kind of seen him on his radar.
Yeah.
But
he's a heckler.
Yeah, he was a heckler. So then all of a sudden he sees them there and he's like, yo, Team America, you guys kind of suck. Blah, blah, blah. You should come and play with me and my bros.
My little sister can play better than you. And they're like, well, why don't you go bother her then? He goes, I don't even have a little sister.
Put your mouth where your money is. Come play with me and my boys.
Yeah.
So they go and they play and he goes and he meets his brother. And he's like, well, yeah, your brother's got a big mouth. He's like, well, yeah, he does. Doesn't he?
Yeah.
So they basically play these street kids and street hockey
Yep.
who are amazing at it.
And they basically teach these kids
how not to play dirty, but to play smart and
strategically, I would say.
But like
they teach little Kenny Wu how to jersey someone.
Yeah, kind of like the first time to jersey someone, and they're sometimes someone's gonna come
big
at you.
How to try to defend yourself in some way because your opponents are so much bigger.
Yeah, and if someone's coming at you, don't be afraid because Kenny Wu. That's kind of what happened. The guy's like,
he's small.
"Oh, I'm coming," and Kenny backs up and he's like, "No, man, you can't." When someone comes at you, you gotta just
throw your stick.
It's gloves or stick, gloves,
jersey.
Yeah. So he's like, you got it. And exactly. So they teach them almost that it's not always just about the game. It is also about the attitude and that comes behind it too. And then of course,
and then
Charlie decides to ask Russ to join the team.
Well, because in kind of a semblance to the first one where everyone kind of got out of the way of Fulton Slapshot.
Yeah.
Russ had the puck and all of his friends backed the fuck away and all the Ducks were like, what the fuck?
What's going on?
And he just knuckle pucked it into the barrel.
And then he's like, and then I think Charlie goes up to him and he's like, what the heck was that? And he's like, oh, you like that? That's my knuckle puck.
Like, never heard of a knuckle puck?
Yeah. So
I love the part where they flip it over the fence and hits the guy's window and breaks it. And he just tosses it back no big deal.
He's like, oh, that's ours, sorry. He's like, yeah, because it's probably something that does happen all the time. In that kind of, whether...
Alley-oop!
Right? Something stuff like that might happen all the time. So maybe someone's or maybe it wasn't even his car. We don't even know that. He was just kind of walking up to it, so it might not have been his car.
So because of Russell joining the team... Charlie...
We forgot Banksy's injury. That's why Russ joins the team. Remember? They slap his wrist?
Oh, right. Yes. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe we forgot
about that.
Holy shit.
I know. So... part of the reason why Russ
Which we
comes-
talked about so much in the first one, too, my God.
Right? Again, we'll piece them together. So, so the reason why
Editing.
Russ ends up joins the team is because earlier against, was it Island
And
first time?
their like previous couple of games, it was...
Was it against Island? Someone came...
I want to say it was.
He was going like, he was putting a stick out to be like, yeah, I did it. And then I think that's when they slapped
I'm
their
pretty
stick
sure it
against
was
it.
Island.
I think it was Island the first time.
Yeah, but I don't know what member of the Iceland team it was.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty
I
sure
think
it was
one
that
of
team
them.
they were playing.
Yeah.
So the
Because wasn't it when Portman also got kicked out of the game and stuff like that? And it was that same guy, and then Julie gets kicked out of the game.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
all
because
that-
he's all like, need
Yeah.
some help with your pad, sweetheart.
And I think it's the same one. He
Yeah.
actually scored. I think it was the only goal they score or something, and so they basically.
So
I think
he
they
celebrated and was all like, yay! And then that
guy
when
comes
the
by and,
Iceland
like,
guy came
hits
and
him with
just
the stick.
smoked him with his hockey stick across his arm.
And because Gordon was too all up in his head, he didn't realize he just kept letting Banks play, even
Yeah.
with this injured wrist.
Until he really noticed
he was having trouble. He was kind of
having trouble.
struggling.
He had to stand there and hold the...
He did the test of
this-
like holding the stick and moving your wrist, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, so he had to bench him.
Yeah. And then when Charlie finds Russ, he's like, Coach, I always told you I'd be better as a coach than I am as a player. Well, here's this guy.
Yeah.
He's the one who replaced him. But then all of a sudden in the final game against Island, Banksy comes in and he's like, look, Coach.
I felt better this morning.
I
and
woke up,
he's
things
all,
felt good, and he's like,
And then the coach is like, sorry, the roster's full. And Russ starts to take off his jersey.
and
but
Charlie,
then
being
Charlie,
the awesome that he is.
Just being a good look. He'd be a Gryffindor. He'd totally
He would
be a Gryffindor.
Gryffindor,
Sorry,
that's
I've
true.
been immersed in Harry Potter.
I see the book. I know. I see.
But yeah, like just Charlie being Charlie. He's like, he can have my spot, and he kind of became assistant coach to Bombay.
Yeah, so because he always said he's not really a fan of
Yeah.
he loves hockey.
He loves playing and everything, but he
feels
has more.
better to teach it
Yeah.
and then to mentor people.
Which is why I think it should have been him in this new remake.
Don't even get me started.
I'm
Don't even
not.
get me started.
I won't.
Because-
Rewind.
We're not gonna get into it.
Didn't say it. Okay.
So so they end up going in against Island in this last game.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it's pretty steady.
It's a doozy. Yeah.
It's pretty steady.
It's
Like, there's-
I
it's
mean, in
not
their
like-
first game, Iceland won, beat them 12-1.
Yeah,
or
so
something
that's what I
that.
mean. Like, it wasn't as bad this time. It was more of an even game this time.
They were kind of neck and neck, within a goal or two the
Most-
whole way,
yeah.
up and down.
Like, it wasn't like, oh, they're
'Cause
12
it
points ahead and
ends-
we have to try and
Because
get
it
it.
ends with a shootout, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
5 members from each team take their shot, and whoever gets the most wins. Wasn't that how it ended? Isn't that how that game ends?
It is, but it's just like, that's not, because the first one ended in Charlie's penalty shot,
Yeah.
and then this one ends in a
A
shootout.
shootout.
And it's like, God, Disney, how
How
they
does
just
the
straight
third
up
one?
I think it's just straight up from winning. But the thing was with that one is what they had the bet. So with when we win, the Warriors die and the Ducks fly. So I think that was kind of
Yeah.
but I don't think they had a shootout in that one. I think it was
Anyway,
just straight up winning.
I'll watch it next time and before we do our next one,
right.
unlike this one. Yeah. So the game was brutal. A lot of hard hits.
A lot of hard hits.
I remember first time watching that when it came out, and I cringed at every hit. I was like, oh, dude, sound effects. Kind of like
Right.
watching Varsity Blues in that game where they play when they're hung over as fuck, and it's just crunch after crunch after crunch.
Right. And you're just like, oh, guys. Oh, I feel so bad. Or
It's like,
sometimes
oh, I felt that.
even watching any of those fail videos online, you're like,
I had to
oh,
stop.
I
I had to stop.
Right?
Because the
You
ones
you can feel it.
I don't mind watching, say, someone get hit in the nuts with something. That's kind of funny. But I cannot watch someone break a bone. I can't. I will not. And sometimes you have no idea that that's the end result of the video you're watching.
Right.
And that there are things you can't unsee.
Yep.
I watch some things on ridiculousness that I'm just like, oh my god, why did my eyeballs allow me to see that?
Oh, Kevin watches them all the time. And I'm like, no, I can't.
I'm thinking one right now and it's just making me
Nope, stop it. Okay. Anyways, back to our D-Ducks. Ducks.
sidetracked.
Squirrel. So yeah, in this final game, Banksy, Charlie's basically on the side of this.
Yeah.
I know at one point, Russ does the tricking.
They switch.
Yes.
They switch.
So
Russell
Goldberg,
with
Goldberg and Russ switch. So you don't really know.
They switch each other's jerseys and their pads
So basically, they're all
because he's
they
all like,
know,
"Get the goalie!"
well, and they know about Russ's because they know about Russ's knuckle puck and what it's like. So because they know that they know, they didn't want to give it away. So basically, they had Goldberg pretend to be Russ Tyler, so that when they could get their shot on it, basically their end was empty, and then they hand it back to the goalie. He takes off his mask, and turns out it's Russ. So they hand him a regular stick, knuckle pucks, and the Stanson, of course, he realizes what's happening.
Get
And
Goalie!
he's like, get to goalie!
One thing I forgot to mention is I can't remember if it's this game or if it was the first game they were playing.
Yeah.
But Fulton got a slap shot on the Hawks and it was caught.
Not the Hawks, the Iceland.
Iceland.
That was the first game.
Iceland, sorry, that was the first game?
Because that was their secret weapon in the first game, and he knew about it.
And so,
they were like,
the goalie,
how do you know?
The goalie caught it,
But
and when he pulls his mitt off, there is a puck-shaped bruise in the center of his hand, and he's shaking because holy F, it probably fractured something.
Yeah,
like, that dude ain't gonna be able to switch hit for a while.
So this time, the knuckle puck was the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was their big, and I think Julie the cat actually ends up playing in this one as well sometime because at one point she goes to coach, she's like, it's not fair that I don't get to play, like I left my team in Maine to play. I want my shot.
I want to show the world what I can do.
Yeah, so she eventually does get her shot, but yeah.
I remembered what I forgot I was gonna say. When is it when they are all ducks fly together, and they talk about where they're from. Yeah,
that's literally in the middle, because basically, so they play half of their game in as the Ducks, and I think the first half is when it sucked. Like the first half, they didn't get too many. Like they were able to block Island, but they didn't. I don't think.
No,
it was
it's
too
in
big.
the last game because
that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. This is the last game. So they're at halftime or like in between one of the periods.
First half of the game, they are dressed as Team USA.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
At halftime, but
they weren't doing good in the first half,
right?
Because
I think they were behind by quite a lot,
a few points or whatever. So they were behind by a couple of points or whatever, and then that's when Jan comes in and he's like, "We need to." He comes in the Ducks
because we are Ducks.
Yes, so he comes in a Duck jersey and he's like,
Ducks, the new ones with the white and the purple with the green. So pretty.
In the first movie, there was no Anaheim Ducks, and literally this was Disney's opportunity to launch the Anaheim Ducks as a team. Was in coordination
with the release of this movie.
With this movie. So this was actually one of the first views of their actual new Ducks as well. Their new jerseys as well.
Yeah. So pre-internet before it went viral.
So it was like a big deal kind of when they come out in the second half in these new jerseys. Yeah. And then, as they're in the locker room to get them to go together, he's like,
where are you from?
And he's like, I'm from Texas and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And and then he even says like the Ducks when the roosters are crowing and
cows are turning circles in the pasture.
And they all just kind of are like, ducks fly together.
Or when the wind is blowing, the skies are black, ducks fly together. That was the teacher.
So they all
kind of like, when was that scene?
They all
it was
together?
halftime.
Yes, it was halftime. And then they come out in the Ducks uniforms.
Because Jan brings them a box full of all their jerseys and stuff. And they
not just the jerseys.
I like the paddings and everything.
Pads, their socks,
everything is Mighty Ducks.
Is the new Ducks.
Yeah,
outfits.
Everything expensive. So
Disney just
for Jan,
yes, for Jan,
expensive. So they come out. So they come out on the rink, and you can the hockey commentators, and they're like, "Oh, and they're in new jerseys. They're in their Ducks jerseys. Doesn't seem to be any rule about changing uniforms
in the middle of a game.
Yeah, let's just let them play as Ducks.
And then of course they all have their own. Like Court Bombay has the new version, and she has her own jacket too.
Yep.
They
all have jackets and stuff. They all have
their own Ducks jackets. They all have their own Ducks sweat.
Oh, you know what part when Mr. Tibbles gets knocked out? That's right, the Ducks.
Oh, that's
Mr. Tibbles.
Oh, and the kids that's at the same time the kids take the Zamboni out.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
So when they all meet. We're okay. When really. There's if that was actually that was real life, there's no way they could take that Zamboni out. Those things are worth millions of dollars and so expensive.
But not to mention, if that happened, they would have been kicked off the team. There was no way they would be allowed to play.
$100. And it was Jesse, Guy, and Fulton, I believe, were the three that were on it.
Is that like a new slang thing? $100? Like, what the fuck is that? What is that?
I think it's actually old. I think we've gone past. I think it was a slang and we've now gone past it. I don't even think it's valid anymore.
It's gone back and forth a little bit.
Well, just like
hundo.
Split. Now
there's
what
not
is
even an O in 100.
Skinny jeans and side parts are out, so whatever.
Fuck you. Leave my side part alone. Skinny jeans you can have. Leave my side part alone.
Well, here's the thing. The side part doesn't... See, here's the thing. People with cowlicks are naturally going to have side parts. So they can't have a center part. It looks funny.
I hate having a center part. I think it makes me look fucking weird. So I've trained my hair to do a side part.
You can
But
train
I
your hair
barely
to do
ever wear it.
anything.
I barely ever
This
wear
is
it
me with
down
a side
anyway.
part, and I feel like it looks
Yeah.
weird. But here's the thing. The other thing is, these kids didn't know what it looked like with a side part back in the day, just like they didn't know what mullets looked like.
And
so
I think they're
having all of
totally
them coming out.
confused with, like, a side part and, like, the way it looks when you have, like, a side ponytail.
Yes.
You have, like, the seam, like, on this side of your head instead of, like, up here.
Well, not only that, like, your side part, like, if you look at this side part, it only is, like, maybe an inch of a side part, and then the rest of my part is back there. But whatever, we're at it doesn't matter if I'm out of touch. I still got...
Whatever.
We lived it the first time. We can be out of fashion. We lived through it.
Stupid. Like, lit and Gucci. I'm sorry.
I don't even use Gucci, but it's like, yeah, we lived through all of these fashions.
I use it ironically.
Yeah. See, the funny part about us is we probably still have some of our old fashions that when it's coming back into fashion, we still have it from. So we actually have real vintage fashions, and you guys have to buy new versions of these fashions.
I still have a jacket that my dad wore when he was a teenager in the early 70s. Right. And it went to my sister, and then my other sister, and then it came to me, and I still have it. I
totally bought it only because I didn't have it, and I wanted one for all of my childhood, and our dance studio was going to have these for our warm-up ones, but they didn't. Those surf-style holographics, like, windbreakers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So I totally found it on eBay, and I bought myself one.
For you.
Absolutely.
Adulting.
Win, because that's essentially children, that's what your adulting is going to be. You basically, by the time you hit 25 and 30, you start to relive a lot of your childhood trying to find, like, whether it's you make a TV series, so that's why, like, right now the Goldbergs and Fresh Off the Boat are really popular and Schooled because
it's nostalgic.
It's nostalgic because it's basically...
Because it reminds you of better times when you had less responsibilities.
And the executive producers are essentially... Everyone in Hollywood right now is essentially Gen X / millennial, and they're just wanting to relive them. So what are they doing? Because their kids are also finding that 90s fashions are in fashion now, so... Yeah, Miss Pentland taught us, fashion recycles itself.
For my own personal reasons, I don't know about the rest of the world, but my own personal reasons, because I like to relive my childhood. It was happier times, especially with the state of the world that is at this moment in time.
It's true. The 90s were, like, the last best decade, I believe, because...
Pre-internet.
We had internet, but no, it was pre-social media.
It wasn't like this. It wasn't...
It was pre-social media.
It was dial-up. We didn't have it at our fingertips. We didn't have it on our phones yet.
It was the internet, and it was still just a researching tool.
Yes.
Social media is what became the downfall of the internet.
Yes.
Because that gave everybody a quote-unquote voice to yell at each other.
So was that ICQ's fault? Or is it MySpace?
No.
Blame Tom. Blame Tom.
Between MySpace and Facebook. Because that's really when people started to be able... Because ICQ was only back and forth between those It was
literally just a text messaging mechanism.
It was a text message messaging through the computer. It wasn't until people could massively feel like they had an opinion on everything. And that's really when social media came to.
And I think like a huge turn in it was when we had internet access on our phones.
Yes.
For sure.
We should really stop and save this for another episode because we do have an episode about the internet era, dawn of the internet era. Okay. So, let's get that part
of Anyway, so where do we live? Okay, so they were at halftime. They came on the rink. They were wearing their Ducks jerseys, blah, blah, blah. They tie it up.
Yep.
When does Dwayne lasso one of the players? And he gets 2 minutes for roping?
I think it might be in that one.
I think it was that one because he was going after, was it Connie or was it Kat?
It was for Connie. Because Julie was
because Connie scored a goal.
And she was up against what it was is I think she was trying to get
she was getting the puck
from the corner
away from the wall.
And they weren't, so he takes it, and that's why, because
and one of the Iceland guys was barreling after her. Dwayne grabs his rope, he gets on the ice, so extra man on the ice there.
Yeah, extra man on the ice.
Without his helmet.
Yeah.
Lassos the guy, stops him within inches of hitting her. And he's all like, where I come from, that's not how we treat ladies, isn't it? Or what's the line?
No, like, she says, we treat ladies with respect.
Where I come from, we treat ladies with respect. And she's all, thanks, Dwayne, but I'm no lady. I'm a duck.
And then she kind of...
And she checks him, and she's like, come on. Huh.
Yeah.
And she spins around, her ponytail flips over her shoulder.
Yeah, so it ends up getting to a tie score. So that's why they end up having the shootout, obviously.
So 5 members from each team take one shot with the puck.
Yep.
Goldberg is the goalie for the first 4, anyway.
The first 4, yes.
First 4, anyway. I think it comes down to, like, they get one in, they get one in, they miss one, they miss one, they get one, they miss one, they miss one, they get one.
I think so.
It's something like that. Like, it's back and forth.
Yes.
And so then it all comes down...
The Ducks' last shot.
The Ducks last... No, it comes down to the Iceland shot. Because if he misses then the Ducks win.
She was in goal. So it came down to Island's last shot and Julie...
So Bombay pulls Goldberg and puts out Kat Gaffney. And
because...
Interesting tidbit. Sorry.
I was going to say, because he also knew his style. But anyway,
Gaffney knew his style.
Bombay did.
She has the quicker glove.
Yes,
as well.
because Bombay said she always
got the
does
lightning glove.
triple D, and he always goes, it says, flat out, triple D glove side every time. She's like, but what if he does stick side? He's like, no, he's too fancy. He will always do glove side.
Yeah, he's fancy. He'll
and
go
she's
glove.
got the faster hand.
And when I was little, when the commentator comes out and he goes, oh, I don't know about this move from Bombay, bringing in a cold goaltender to replace Goldberg, blah, blah, blah. When I was little, my little non-listening ears didn't hear cold goaltender. Yeah. I heard girl goaltender. And it made me so mad. I'm like, fuck you, commentator. Girls can be goalies.
Here's the funny thing.
That was probably really loud. I apologize for your ears.
Here's the funny thing. You never know. Because you're watching it now on DVD, and there's a possibility that it might have did say girl goaltender, but somewhere over the years, Disney may have overridden. Because in Aladdin, the original words were, at the very beginning, they cut off your ears if they don't like your face, and that's not how it is anymore.
Really?
It's barbaric, but hey, it's home. If you listen to it now, it's actually a total, what does it say? With the moons from the... no, hold on. I know they changed the word, because I remember, me and my sister specifically remember, they cut off your ears if they don't like your face. It's barbaric, but hey, someone, my sister sang it. And then recently when we're watching it, not the words anymore. They've changed it over the years. Opening song lyrics. So, as I was saying, they might have said a girl goaltender in it, and maybe that's why you were appalled. Then maybe it wasn't a cold goaltender. Maybe it was a girl goaltender.
Well, because I remember the first time I actually heard cold goaltender, and I'm just like, how did I mistake that for girl? Right? So, like, it's very possible.
Oh, I come from a land from a faraway home where the caravan camels row, where it's flat and immense and the heat is intense. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home. How is that barbaric? But, and I assume also because if this is based in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's probably like, oh, well, that's
bad, yeah.
Racist or whatever.
Stereotypical.
Right, exactly. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that that's what Disney has done in the past.
Yeah.
So,
it wasn't acceptable back then. It was just ignorant back then. But now that we know better, they decided to change it.
Yeah. So I'm not saying. So you might have been appalled for the exact reason. That might have been what they say, but they've changed it since then.
But anyway, so comes down to it that Gunner is from
Stahl.
Gunners.
Yeah.
Gunner Stahl.
Or Gunther, maybe something
I think
like
it's
that.
Gunner. I'm pretty sure it's Gunner. Anyway,
something like
he does his glove side, and it's all whoosh, and you can hear her catch it, but the crowd is silent until she stands up.
It seems like it was so fast that she caught it that you couldn't tell.
That you couldn't see that. It was so fast, but then she caught it, and she throws it, and it lands on the ice, and everyone's like, oh,
and they win.
And they run out with a big flag, and it gets all twirled around, and like... Yeah.
And then the very last scene is them singing around the campfire. We are the champions. Because they won.
Because Queen's awesome. And I mean, come on. We are the champions. Like, that's the only song we're going to have to fucking sing.
Like that. Between We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, it's all that's played at hockey games.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is, We Will Quack You.
Right.
Steph. Come on. Seriously.
Anyways.
Go, Ducks!
Go, Ducks!
Quack, 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 quack.
Go team!
So, yeah. So, I guess that... closes up
number
2 for Mighty Ducks, and
so
I'm just noticing now my dog chewed apart my magazine.
Oh, awesome.
A little shit.
Very nice.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, excuse me, right?
Yeah, so that's the end of this one. Hope you enjoyed it. We come back again next week, so we will be doing D3.
D3.
Deep diving into the final movie of the trilogy. And
the one that Dean Portman is in the least, except for the first one because he's not in it at all.
And
I don't sing everything I do.
Maybe, depending on when it's recorded, if we're lucky, the other one might come out. Maybe we'll just touch on it quickly. We'll see. It's March 26th it comes out, so we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure we'll have time.
Right?
Like, yeah.
Anyways.
I'm sure we'll have to, like, watch it and we'll talk about it and stuff. What's it coming out on? What program? Disney Plus, that I don't have access to.
Maybe if you're lucky, I'll let you. I have it. I bought the year subscription. Anyways, so that's it for us. Join us next time on Turn of the Millennials.
Absolutely. We will see you then.
See you next week.
Later, skater.
Bye.